everybody. We're here with Stephen Chavez, a.k.a. Steph Chavez, one of the Altium podcast alumni. Great to see you here at PCB East.
It's great to have you guys here. It's a lot of buzz, good content, excellent different sessions that are going on. One just finished up. I think there's like 60 people in that class. It's amazing. TTM, they're talking about board fabrication content. So it was amazing. Great stuff.
So one thing that I think is really important is to get designers to come out to these kind of events. What's something that designers can take away from an event like this?
You know, the key is, it's the foundation or what they need to know to be successful. And it's the sessions like this, you're hearing it straight from the horse's mouth. You like example, the class in TTM, you're getting it like the true grit of what causes the TQs that are coming back. Why are you throwing garbage over the fence and expecting gold? And they're telling it like it is, and the do's and don'ts, and that's what's amazing. This is what you would get from a show like this, not just from them, but from other individuals walking the halls and then walking the showroom floor. So it's amazing.
So I think this is the type of stuff that people have to learn the hard way through experience sometimes.
Yeah, you know what, and there's never a wrong, or I shouldn't say never wrong, but there's never a bad thing as long as you learn from it and you apply what you learn next go around. And here at the show, you're going to hear success stories, but it's also good to hear some failures because you learn from that. So whether it's your failure or someone else's failure, it's not a failure if you learn from it and apply it and move on. That's my perspective.
So we've got a lot of great names here today as well as yesterday and tomorrow. We're here on day 2 right now, but it's a 3-day show. Who are you excited to see?
I was excited to see Rick and Susie, as always. I wish I could sit in your presentation, but you and I are going to be presenting at the same time. What are the chances? For me, it's just to see everyone back face to face. I mean, look, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. The fact that we're all here and the buzz is still here, and everyone's back to, getting back into the groove of attending the conferences and education is unbelievable. So.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for the shout out. I wish I could attend your session, buddy. All right. We're going to find some other great people to talk to. Thank you so much for taking a few minutes. Okay, so we are here with Matt Liles from LPKF Laser and Electronics. Matt, great to meet you.
Great to meet you as well.
So we're here and we were walking the show floor and we saw this pretty cool printer going full speed, throwing out some circuits on looks like a copper-clad laminate. Is that correct?
Correct. This is a half-ounce FR4.
So this is pretty cool. I mean, this is this kind of thing you could put on your desktop and just print out a 2-layer board really quick. Is that correct?
Correct. That's really what it's designed for. So this is designed for customers to create basic single double-sided PCBs. This is our entry-level Protomat E44. You can create boards with spacing as small as 6 mils and traces 4 mil spacing, or 4 mil traces, 6 mil spacing.
Really? Down to 6 mils?
With our more advanced systems, you can actually do 4 mil trace, 4 mil spacing, and then on Rogers to conic and different materials. And then with our laser systems, you can actually go down as small as 10 micron traces with 15 micron spacing.
Well, being an RF guy, I was actually going to ask you Rogers and Taconic.
Yeah, Rogers and Taconic are pretty standard in the industry, and with our Protomat S64 or S104 systems, you can work with those materials, even the PTFE Duroid materials.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So can we see it in action? Are you done printing, or what's going on here? So this is basically using visible light, burn in the traces, or is this cutting?
This is actually using mechanical milling, 1/8 inch tungsten carbide tooling. This system is manual tool change, manual depth calibration. We do have more advanced milling machines that have 15 or 20 position automatic tool changes. So with those systems, you can load in your Gerber DXF data, hit start, walk away, go home for the day, go to lunch, and come back to have a completed printed circuit board.
That's awesome. I mean, you literally just open up the files, click a few buttons, and you're going.
Exactly. Yeah, this system's a little bit more user intensive. You do need to change the tools, change the depth calibration. But with our more advanced systems, absolutely, you just hit start and walk away.
That's awesome, and it's cool that you're using the Gerbers, so you're essentially tool agnostic.
Exactly, yeah. With Gerber or DXF, you can work with
DXFs too.
DXF as well, so you can work with most CAD/CAM files.
Nice. What about ODB?
ODB, Saubenmeier, Exelon, NC drill.
Very cool. Oh, and does it actually drill?
It does. So this machine will drill, route, and then actually cut out the perimeter of the PCB.
Oh, and it'll cut.
It will. So
Literally everything.
it will literally take a sheet of copper clad and leave you a finished printed circuit board, such as this is a 4-layer PCB that was created with one of our previous generation S63 systems, and then from there you have a lamination press to bond it with pre-preg or bonding film, and then we have options for through-hole plating as well. We have a silver epoxy and then a copper plating system. We're using periodic reverse pulse plating and galvanic, just like you would at a board house.
That is so cool, and I might just have to get one of these for myself to play with. Matt, thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate your time today.
Okay, so we are here with Sean Patterson, Chief Revenue Officer. Is that right? Still CRO? They should have promoted you by now. But Chief Revenue Officer for Nano Dimension. Sean, how you doing?
Good, thank you.
So I was walking by. I saw you here. I knew I had to come over and say hello since we just had you on the podcast. And we'll actually link to the podcast in the description in the video. But you guys are with Nano Dimension, and I think Nano Dimension is a bit unfamiliar, or most people are unfamiliar with the company. So why don't you tell everybody what Nano Dimension does?
Sure. Nano Dimension makes additively manufactured electronics, or AME. We make the world's only 3D printer that uses 2 materials, which would be by definition the only multi-layer capable machine in the world. And we're printing a dielectric and a conductive element at the same time to truly make what people will traditionally think is a multi-layer PCB. But when you start going 3D as you do this building, it becomes so much more. It's truly 3D printers. We think about RF boards that have stubs. There are no stubs. When people come to us and say, hey, you print how many layer board can you do? We say 20 layers, but yes, but it's really 20,000 layers, right? You get to do whatever you want in the Z-axis. So, even simple people, you take a 90-degree via, make it 45 degrees, but you can make it a squiggly S-line. It doesn't really matter. And so for design purposes, it really opens up the mind where you really start using the dielectric and the conductor in both a mechanical and an electrical way in any form factor you want. So we need to get out of 2D mindsets and get to a purely additive 3D world. And we do have, and we print them today, it works. We're still working on more material development and increasing our standards for reliability.
This is really cool board. I mean, here you've got this kind of honeycomb shape, right. And I think someone would look at this and think air cooling, because that's what I initially thought.
Exactly.
But why did you actually do it?
I'm with you. That 100%. One of our customers actually did this in the backside. I don't have the original board, but you can see it's a traditional PCB motor controller. And our customer did 3 main things to this, besides just converting it to our material. And so the actual one, and 100% I saw that and was like air cooling, which is an idea. But they actually did it for weight reduction, because on the original board there wasn't much circuit density here. And if you can see sort of there's some silverness going along there, they're actually making connectivity between the 2 sides of the board, but reduced weight by doing this honeycomb structure and still providing the rigidity they wanted for the board. They also added increased surface area with dielectric, printed raised dielectrics with kind of valleys here. That really becomes an electron trap to present electron surface migration between the high power terminals. Something you can't do traditionally at all. Or it'd be like a milling nightmare, I guess, with just some pre-preg on top.
That's what I was going to say. That would have been a nightmare to try and mill it out of something else and then bond it onto the top surface.
That's totally correct. And so that's why we like to say that the complexity is free for us, right? It's more about what you're doing with 2 materials that are functioning unto themselves in a volume of space, if you will, right? And I think that's it's really cool. You think about other 3D technologies that are out there, pretty much plastics and various flavors of that, and metals. And when you talk about multiple materials for those companies, it's usually mixing to make alloys, if you will, right? When we add 2 materials, it's because they're functional unto themselves in an electromechanical spectrum. So we even had to develop new software which is what we discussed on our podcast. And so we have the ability to take a ECAD, which is by definition 2D software, and then do through APIs and exporting to full MCAD, which is 3D, and again blend the worlds of electro and mechanical engineers into one space.
So is that through step files, or is that through some other file format?
So the output is an STL out of the 3D software. So you really design your electronics right now the way we have it today, using traditional ECAD softwares out there. And so you would design it, get your net list, everything like that. The way I like to describe it is then we have an ability to export that into MCAD, convert all the elements into 3D elements, and then the simplest way is think of like if you wanted a sphere circuit board, you would put that sphere in ECAD and sort of explode view your pads to the surface that you want in a very simple manner is the way to think about it.
This is really cool, and I'm excited to see what you guys have on the horizon. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks again.
All right, I am here with Chris Dickey, VP of Sales at SVTronics. Chris, why don't you tell the audience what your company does?
So we're a full-service electronic contract manufacturer, from SOW all the way through distribution or anywhere in there.
So when you say distribution, you mean like packaging, finished boards, everything?
Final packaging for on the shelf, off-the-shelf type. We can do bulk, 4-color, blister packs, things of that nature. Most of the times we ship to our customers in bulk, and then they may have another distribution facility they work out of to ship to the electronic companies, Dickey, Mauser, things of that nature.
Okay. And so what markets do you guys serve?
Oh, wow, we're in quite a few. Industrial, nuclear power, steam power, coal power, commercial aviation, military, secondary military applications such as foreign-funded military programs, semiconductor products. So we do a lot of board-level reliability with semiconductor manufacturers, as well as evaluation modules for them as well.
That's what I was going to ask, evaluation module.
A lot of evaluation modules, burn-in boards, ATE boards, characterization boards, anything that supports the semiconductor manufacturing process.
So I think a lot of designers, when they are maybe early in their career, have some trouble getting into a manufacturing facility very quickly and easily. What's some advice that you would give to designers when they're going to engage with a company like SVTronics?
Engage with we've got to be in up front. If somebody tries to develop a product, complete the design, and bring it to a manufacturing facility, there's going to always be issues. The sooner we get involved, we can work with the board suppliers on the stack-ups. We can work with the SMT process engineers on the manufacturing processes to make sure everything gels perfectly and you don't have to go back and do 2 or 3 respins.
So it's designed with manufacturing, not designed for manufacturing.
Correct, yes. It's a collaborative effort.
Absolutely, totally agree. Hey, thank you so much for talking to us.
Oh, you're welcome.
So today I'm here with Amanda and Kerry. They're with Allflex. Hi. So we're doing women in STEM questioning and asking them what they've experienced and all the trials and errors and things they've learned of being in the industry, especially as an engineering student and you guys going through it. What are some things that you recommend that students know, like starting off, like getting your first internship?
I did not get this as an internship, but I went to business school, had no engineering background whatsoever, kind of got thrown into the sales position. So for me, the biggest way to learn was just to jump into a lot of the meetings with engineers, learn how to ask the right questions, ask a lot of questions, even if they felt silly or dumb, just because that was the easiest way for me to learn. And then I knew for the next time, like I already knew the answer to that question, so I could find something else, like another adder question to help like kind of build up my
your vocab and everything like that. Would you say also like when it comes to these asking questions and everything, have you ever felt like okay, maybe I shouldn't answer, or I can ask them on the side, or should I ask them afterwards? Like how do you deal with like kind of being like unsure?
Yeah, definitely gauge
words. Like how do you deal with like kind of being like unsure?
Yeah, definitely gauge the room and see how people are talking and how you're interacting with everybody. If they seem really open, then I feel more open to asking any questions. Even if I say, oh, well, this might seem like a dumb question, but what's, just asking it anyway. I kind of gauge the room and see how they're responding to me.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever experienced like imposter syndrome, like being in the industry that you are? Like I know like there's barely any women in the industry, so it's like you're always surrounded by a whole bunch of men, and then like how do you deal with like finding your confidence, or like how long did it take for you to be like more secure and have a good foundation?
Yeah, for me, it probably took longer than others. I wasn't as confident. I started off at Allflex as a receptionist, so I worked my way up the company and kind of got to know people, got to know the industry, really developed relationships, and then I got my confidence later on, and now I feel better about it. But it can still be intimidating walking into a room where it's all men and you're the only woman, and you have to be able to show that you're
assert your dominance.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So like how would like, because like I'm thinking, I think it's like, you know, you get more comfortable with it, so you just say more, the more practice the better you get at it. Did you guys have any mentors or like anybody you guys looked up to, like anyone that gave you advice or kind of guided you on the path?
Yeah. For me, it was my dad. Like, cause he started. I'm a manufacturer's rep, so my dad was an engineer. He was the one that kind of like, personable and connecting with people. Like Amanda said, those relationships will take you farther than a lot of the knowledge that you have. And then that's when people start to be like, I like you. I know you're going to work hard for me. And then they'll be even more open to kind of mentoring you in their own way.
Oh, that's good. Yeah,
Allflex was founded by a woman, so I worked for her for a while.
I did not know that. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry.
Okay. No, you're good. And so I worked with her for a long time and kind of followed her. She took me on business trips and kind of took me under her wing. I was very young, and I just watched how she interacted with people and tried to fulfill her legacy. She doesn't own the company any longer, but
yeah. Oh, that's great. Like, would there be any advice you would give younger women? Like, you know, okay, well, don't be afraid to ask questions. Be confident in what you say and do. Like, learn as much as you can. Find a mentor. Anything else?
I also say have a good handshake. We were talking
about
about
we were talking about
that.
that.
So that's one thing I'm wondering. And like, I
strong...
bruise easily, so I'm like, you know, how is like too much? Like, I don't want to
have the dead fish. Don't give like the.
Oh yeah, like, I heard of that. It's like we go like that and just like, oh, just please me or something like that.
Yeah.
Oh. So how would a good handshake be, if you don't mind?
Nice
connect.
Yeah,
connection.
You want to connect
right here.
Yes.
Okay.
And like one or two pumps.
Okay, 1 or 2 pumps and be firm. And would you like look them straight in the eye? Be like, my name is so
You have to look them in the eye. It's really important. Eye contact.
That's very intimidating.
It can be.
Yeah, but that kind of helps with your assertiveness and like that just like shows confidence right away.
It does.
Yeah. And you find that always helps. Like how would you do handshakes beforehand, or how did you learn that? Like, did someone tell you like, oh, your handshake is very...
Honestly, from working retail, my first job when I was 15, my boss at that job, it was, Kerry, you have to have a good handshake, and he would like make me practice handshakes in the car with him.
He would be like, hey.
Yeah. No. But I just think it's
essential, but I think it helps.
It's very beneficial.
Yeah, beneficial.
It's another side of things, and we were talking last night too. My dad has always been somebody who's never...
That won't understand you're an engineer or believe you're an engineer or that you can do this job, so you have to just plow through it anyway.
So that's the thing. Okay, like how do you prove without being too pushy? Like, do you always have to find that middle ground and be like, okay, well, this is what I know, take it or leave it, or be like, okay, well, here's the proof. What else do you need? Or like, when you just be like, oh, well, have you thought about it this way? Or
yeah, when it's over the phone, I do tend to be a little more aggressive or assertive and say, you know, oh, can I speak to somebody? And then I say, well, that's me, and they're surprised. Oh,
yeah, like
and then I say, yes, I'm technical, what can I help you with? And just try to plow through it and be assertive, but not too aggressive.
Yeah.
I think producing, like just like, I don't have to say that I'm a tough guy to be a tough guy, just as an example, like just producing and showing I'm like, you can think whatever you want, I don't care, but like this is what I have for you.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the right saying?
Yeah, that's right.
Be a tough guy, just as an example, like just producing and showing I'm like, you can think whatever you want, I don't care, but like this is what I have for you.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that the right saying?
Yeah, that's right.
All right, that's great. Do you guys have any questions or anything you want to say offhand or anything like that?
Yeah, we're seeing more women coming into the industry, but it's male dominated.
Okay.
And for me, just being in sales, with repping multiple different manufacturers, I've been for about 14 years, and I'd say it's probably less than 10% of women that I meet with. Is key.
Yep. Perfect. Thank you so much.
All right, we're here with Phil Elliot from Archer Circuits. Phil, great to meet you.
Good to meet you.
So, what does Archer Circuits do?
Archer Circuits does circuit boards. We have 7 factories in Shenzhen, Dongguan area. We've got 2 in Taiwan, 1 in Thailand, and 1 in India.
So, are you the type of company that basically helps a customer scale, maybe from prototype up to high volume?
Oh, absolutely. We'll do high volume, medium volume. We're engineering prototypes. We have aluminum boards, ceramic boards, rigid flex boards, whatever you need in your product, we try to provide for you. We also do value added for customers that need more than just a circuit board. We have relationships with cable companies like Amphenol in China, and some of the more difficult to do business with factories in China, we have excellent relationships, so we can get those products on your board as well, in your AVL.
So when you say more difficult to do business with, is going overseas a bit more difficult generally? Because I've had a bad experience and I've had a good experience.
So what Archer, and I hate to use the word broker, but what Archer really is a broker, but it's more like having your factory in China than it is having a broker relationship. So we try to go a step above that broker relationship, and we'll do your source inspections, we'll do the quality for you, we'll validate process, we'll validate the engineering, we'll do your first article inspections, your AOI, whatever you need, whatever you would do if you were in China is what we'll do for you. So it's like you have a presence in China and we're handling that for you. So you do business with me and I take care of all the dirty work in China for you. And what we bring with us, is that 20 years experience doing business with those factories in China. So we have the relationships and you don't have to gain them or grow that relationship, the trust, because we're bringing it to you.
So you could literally pick up the phone and call somebody over there and get issues handled quickly.
Absolutely.
That's always good to hear, because I think that is something that people are apprehensive about dealing with when they're trying to go scale on their own. So it sounds like going with Archer Circuits is a great solution.
And we're here. We have a domestic presence. I'm in Colorado. So when you have an issue, you're not trying to find somebody 13, 14, 15 hours away to handle a problem. I'm right here in your time zone. I'll take care of it. I'll make those midnight phone calls so you don't have to get up and do it yourself.
Makes sense. Why don't you show us some of the boards you got?
Sure. We have aluminum circuit boards. We'll do double-sided aluminum. We're one of the few in China that can do that. We have flex boards. We have a customer that does offender management equipment like GPS tracking bracelets, house arrest bracelets. So we do products for them that's very sensitive. Rigid flex boards. Hard gold, soft gold, gold flash, OPC, whatever you need the finish to be. We have products that go in Boeing aircraft. We have products that go into Dell backplanes. So we cover quite a wide variety of product lines and vertical markets.
So if someone is going to be taking like a flex board over to you guys or an aluminum board over to you guys, what's the DFM process look like?
DFM, well, we have really close to a 0 defect rate right now. And we try to, from the customer side, right? That's that management perspective that I told you about before. We try to handle that interface so that what you get is the 0 defects.
Well, sure, but I mean, what does the customer need to do on the front end to make sure that they get that 0 defect rate? Can they just throw designs at you, or do they need to engage with you early?
Well, they're going to engage with me. So you'll throw me your Gerber files. We will go through it, and we'll do all the engineering work. We'll work back and forth with the factory. We'll send you the Q&A back and forth, and we will give you the prototypes to validate. And once you're validated and you're in that factory, then we keep you there. So there's another big distinction between us and a typical broker. We won't shop the product ever, try to get a little price down. We're going to keep you in that factory. We'll maintain that relationship for you, and that's where you stay until you tell us different. That's it.
Sure. Well, it's another case of design with manufacturing, not design for manufacturing.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for talking with us.
Good to meet you. Thanks, Zach.
I am here with Mike Creeden, an Altium Live alum. I actually watched your presentation again just recently. Michael Creeden is with Insulectro, Technical Director for Design Education. Mike, thanks so much for talking with me for today.
Very nice to see you. Everyone's out live and about, and appreciate you spending some time and visiting us here.
Yeah, absolutely. So maybe for the audience, tell them what Insulectro does.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity. Insulectro is a laminate material distributor for Isola and DuPont materials and many of the process chemicals to all the fabricators across North America. Particularly what we're here today doing is discussing that we want you to get the best use out of the best materials. So energy flows in the material. It's not really in the copper, it's against the copper. But the materials matter. They make a difference. So we're helping people make technically appropriate choices with their material decisions.
So what is maybe one of the first considerations that someone should look at when they're going to choose their first material?
Great question, Zach. So in the same manner, you wouldn't let somebody select the values of your components. You really shouldn't let someone select the value of your materials, because the properties within the materials have a physical property that affects, thermal and manufacturing process issues, but it also has electrical properties within each different material that affect signal performance, power performance, and many things like that. So it's understanding those parameters to make a technically appropriate material choice.
Sure. So this being a technical conference, and there are a lot of technical presentations during this 3-day conference, who are you excited to see?
Well, I have the opportunity to volunteer at PCEA and serve here putting this together, so I am extremely happy to see everyone. So that's my general thing.
Aren't you speaking later?
I do have I'm part of the technical
That's
presentations,
right.
And I will be speaking on materials. A lot of times I speak on a lot of different subject matters, but whenever I can, I'm going to speak on materials and covering 3 perspectives, essentially designing for the solvability that a layout person would face, the signal integrity issues, and also the manufacturability issues. But back to your question here, I have yet to walk the floor, but half the time you're getting to see a whole bunch of people that you've known within the industry for a long time. But you're always technically going to learn when you visit a booth and you invest the time, ask the questions, and that's one of the ways we continue our education.
Yeah, I agree. These shows are great for continuing your education. And, I mean, what else could someone get from attending a show like PCB East?
Well, these shows have basically 2 components, 3 components. I'm going to say 3 components, okay, is the technical presentations. You're truly going to get professional development education, which is always current and up to date, and it's a way to stay up to date in technology. By visiting the booth, you're going to see opportunities to find some new product or process or service that could help your company. And the third thing, it's the collaboration, it's the network. You see somebody like you, what did we do when we first saw each other? We smiled and we gave a high five. So
Definitely.
Yeah.
Well, let's do it again.
All right. Ciao.
Thank you so much for talking with me, Mike.
My pleasure. Thank you, and thanks for everybody for listening.
All right, we are here with one of the big sponsors of PCB East, PCB Technologies. I am here with Jeff and Nino. Jeff, Nino, nice to meet both of you guys. Morning. So just briefly, why don't you tell the audience what you guys do?
So we're a time-critical advanced PCB manufacturer. We've got a shop in Israel with about 140 million, 700 families trying to feed. Just brought Nino on as the new director of sales for North America. I'm the president of the U.S. operations. The plan is some expansion and trying to get something in the United States. I'm currently looking, so if anybody's out there. We're also doing some new technology, which is called System in Package. We're now taking the microelectronics avenue, kind of helping the semiconductor market. We think it's a big push. So we invested almost $20 million in the shop. So there's a lot of stuff I could talk about, but I know we're short on time. So
Sure. I mean, it sounds like reshoring has been a big driver of business growth, at least here in the U.S.
Absolutely. Our bread and butter is still offshore. We're doing PCB fab, PCB design, assembly, and system and packaging, as Jeff mentioned. But the goal is, of course, to service customers domestically here as well. So that's what our operation is here. We're PCB Technologies USA, and we intend to grow in this market and really show everybody who's boss.
That's a great way to put it. So what does that initial engagement with the customer look like? I mean, do you guys need to get involved early? Can they just pitch designs at you?
Nino handle that one.
For us, we want to be customer focused, right? So it's servicing customers, it's being there on the front line, day in and day out, and being available. So you're not going to win any business by ignoring your customers or by being difficult to work with. So we pride ourselves, and we've always prided ourselves on being there and being available and being an autonomy for someone else in the circuit board industry.
Sure. So what, this being a technical conference, have you guys had a chance to catch any of the technical sessions?
I did not. I wish I could have got one yesterday. I did not. I got in too late, unfortunately.
I understand. I got in.
You can tell my voice. I've been traveling the country a lot lately, so.
Well, I got in late last night myself.
Now that's going to be my voice, which is, you know.
So what is something that attendees should take away from a conference like this?
Well, it depends on what they're looking for, right? I mean, when they come to these, they're very specific. So they're normally coming in looking for a partner of some sort, right? When they show up, these are very kind of an exclusive trade show, right? So most of the folks that come here we've been doing this 30 years. Nino's been in it 10 or 11, right? So they're looking for specifics. They're not just walking. So when they come here, they're going to hopefully find a new partner that can help them with the advanced technology they're looking for. Not everybody in the United States can build this technology. And so when they walk by us, we'll grab them and tell them what we're all about again.
Yeah.
I think the other aspect of it, too, is it's fun to realize that our industry is alive and well, right? It is booming in the United States. Materials, boards, fabrication, assembly, you name it. This is a great time to be here. It's a great time to be at this show.
You know what? The other thing is that the market that we are in is shrinking. So there used to be 5,000 vendors. Now there's like 150 in the United States. And of that 150, you really have about 25 or 30 that can build advanced technology. The rest of them are smaller mom and pops, $5, $7, $8, $10 million factories. So, you know, when you get in the advanced RF or high-tech rigid flex, you don't have a lot of options.
Nino, Jeff, thank you both so much.
Appreciate you, man.
All right, it's been a great day at PCB East, and I am here right now with Gary Ferrari. Gary, how you doing today?
I'm doing fine. It's the end of the week. Not actually the end of the week. I'm leaving tonight because I have another business to do, but it's been very good.
Yeah, well, you know, Gary, you've been in the industry a long time. What did you spend most of your career doing?
I would say most of the time, besides doing design and things like that, is just helping people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm still here. I mean, I should have retired probably a long time ago, but I like to help the new ones coming in. There's new technologies and those type of things, and that's basically why I'm here.
So would you say that's one of the biggest reasons for people to attend a conference like PCB East?
Yes, PCB East is a good conference because you get to see all of the different suppliers, and you get really good presentations made, technical presentations. You know, the problem that I see in the industry is that the companies don't want to let the people go to the conferences. They expect to learn everything by osmosis. You know, and that's a real shame. I go on the road, I go into companies and stuff like that, and I promote, you know, get your people out so that they can see what's going on. Now, as far as PCEA is concerned, we have virtual meetings across all around the world, and this year we try to link 3 different chapters all on the same link. One from Seattle, one from Minneapolis, and one from the East Coast. It's something that we couldn't do when I was with IPC and when we had the Designers Council, which they dissolved. You couldn't do that. So chapters with low members, because of location, they would get bored if there were the same guys all the time. You know, so here, this is wonderful. They can come in at any time. You don't even have to be affiliated with the chapter to go online and talk and ask questions and learn things. So, like I say, we have chapters all around the world now, and still growing. So.
That's great. That's great. And I know, I mean, passing on that knowledge to the next generation is so important to keep the industry going.
Yes, absolutely. So we're pretty happy. This thing, you know, we purchased it from Up Media and the like, and this is the first time we're having this thing in real short notice, I should say. You could get rid of all the little things there, okay? Okay. And the attendance has been really good.
Yeah, I've noticed. There's been a lot of people here today. It's incredible.
I went through talking to all of the booths people, and they say that they had nothing but action all the time, which is really good. And for the first time coming out back to the East Coast over several years, I think that's a good accomplishment.
That's great. That's great. So speaking of passing on information to the next generation, who do you think people that come out to this type of event should see? Like, who were you excited to see talk at the conference?
Well, I have some really good colleagues, okay, and RHartley's one of them, and Susie Webb's one of them. I get to see them all the time.
Sure.
But there are some experts out there that we've had in the past that we want to now capture, have them be able to come as well. And people could get to those guys too. Some old timers and stuff like myself, but they have good information to share. And so what I've been doing is not only just going around visiting and talking to some of the people. We've had a lot of supervisors and management come from different companies to come through because they're used to it, and I give them the spiel about, listen, let the other guys out since they're doing everything. Listen to them. You know, what can I tell you? You know.
Well, thank you so much. This has been great.
You're welcome.
Tara, what do you do exactly?
So I work with Averatek. So we're a technology development company that's serving the printed circuit board industry.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a technology that we license to PCB fabricators that allows them to now fabricate lines and spaces down at 1 mil or 25.
And how long have you been in this
industry?
Yes.
Basically since college.
Since
so
college?
Over 20 years.
Did you do like just bachelor's, or did you do master's as well? PhD?
I did bachelor's.
Okay.
But nothing in engineering or electronics. I'm in the industry completely by accident.
Oh, really? How so?
I have a degree in economics and industrial relations.
Uh-huh.
And at one point in time, shortly after college, I ended up taking a position at a flex circuit fabricator.
Okay.
Doing their accounting and some stuff like that. And I found it quickly kind of boring. But it was a small company and it was growing, and so they put me out into manufacturing production. Kind of learned how to build boards that way, and then moved into sales and marketing after that.
Oh wow! And then Omni PCB is your is your business.
Yeah, it's a manufacturing company specializing in printed circuit boards.
Mm-hmm.
So I founded that, ran that for about 10 years. I now have somebody else running that for me, and I took a direct position at Averatek to launch this new technology for the industry.
Okay, so basically you did how many years before starting your business and then transitioning from your selling or moving on from your business into like being on board to another one? Like what was the time frame?
I've had my business for about 10 years.
Okay, 10 years.
Yes, and then just about a year and a half ago moved to Averatek.
Okay. Did you find anything like difficult with transitioning, like from having your own business to like going back underneath somebody, or like was it you now managing, or is it like?
I was able to actually take the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm.
I was consulting with Averatek for a couple of years before I took the direct
so you were
position.
familiar
so
with
I
them
already knew the team, was very familiar with how the company was working and things like that. So really was the best of both.
That's great. And then so I know you said earlier that you never really did have any troubles or complications going into the industry. Did you have anybody having doubts with you, or like did you just say, okay, well, this is my portfolio, this is what I can do, like you either want me or don't, or how did you?
I think I had a bigger problem being young when
Really?
I started out, more than just a
pro-
woman. It's a very male-dominated industry.
Yes.
I'm often the only woman in the room and in technical conversations.
Uh-huh.
That was definitely true 25 years ago when I started. And I think it just took a little bit of people have confidence. Oh, does she really know what she's talking about or
Yeah.
not? You know, but I never really felt that was a woman versus a man thing.
Yeah, just
So much
more
as
like
maybe
your confidence in how you carry
just,
yourself.
do I really know this yet? Or, you know, what do I have yet to learn? Or things like that. But I've never really had any challenges working in a male-dominated field at all.
Would you say you ever, like, you know, had like imposter syndrome, or you feel like you doubted yourself at one point and be like, okay, well, no, I actually know this, you know, like I just need to, like, you know, assert it or.
Of course.
So how do you deal with that? Like, because I mean, like, you know your stuff, but then sometimes like people come to you and then like make you doubt it, and then you be like, what am I thinking? Like, you know, like how do you?
It's
like,
terrifying to give technical presentations.
Yeah,
when
'cause-
people are going to ask you questions of what if I don't know the answer?
Yeah, like,
But I
oh,
always
I'll run
know-
back.
I always know how to go get the answer. So
Okay.
you know, you can fall back on that. But yeah, intimidating. I'll never forget it. It actually was at an Altium conference.
Really?
And I'm presenting on flex and rigid flex, and one of my mentors sat down in the audience, and I'm like, oh no. Like,
oh, the pressure, they're gonna ask me all the hard
they're
questions.
The experts. Not me, they're the experts. So I'll never forget that moment.
Oh my goodness. So like, how would you say you still kind of like, you know, it's not like you're portraying yourself as the expert, but you're like, I'm confident enough to know that I know what I'm talking about, but obviously there's going to be people who have much more higher standards than me. Like, how do I go about like, oh, well, that person's telling me I'm wrong? It'd be like, okay, yes, you have credit, or like, well, I haven't gotten around to that. Like, how do you navigate it so it's not like, oh, well, you don't know what you're talking about, or I know it's for sure?
Yeah, you know, and maybe because I did so much work with flex and rigid flex, which not everybody is as familiar with. There's still a lot of people learning that. And now working with the additive process, there's still a lot of people learning that process. So I rarely have people come up and say, no, you're just flat out wrong, or that's not right. You know, they may be questioning or challenging questions, but they're not really
aggressive or
that I'm not correct.
Yeah.
Just, well, what about this or what about
They're
that?
curious about it. What would you say has been something that's, you know, kind of not, let me see, how can I word this? How many different skill sets did you have to learn in order to be comfortable where you are now? Like, did you have to like learn something hands-on, like on the spot, or did you take time with training, or did you just read a lot of books, or is it because of networking, or are you asking questions? Like,
all of that. A combination of all of that, I think. Some of it's just you jump in. You just remember.
Oh, you just like go into it and just dive in.
And do the best that you can and figure it out as you go through. You know, there's definitely been a lot of that. But that comes with new technology too.
Okay.
Right? You know, all the answers aren't always going to be there.
Yeah, and then you have to search for yourself.
That's when you reach out to networking. And you said networking, and I think that's something I feel very strongly about.
Okay.
I did Geekapalooza. I don't know if you heard about that, but it's a networking event for the industry. But I think the networking is probably the most important piece to being successful in this industry.
I am pleased to be here with the great RHartley. Rick, it's very nice to see you at PCB East.
Thanks, Zach. Good to see you too.
Thank you. So you've been speaking at multiple sessions this week, correct?
Yes, I have indeed.
So what have you been talking about in your sessions?
Well, yesterday I talked about attenuation in circuit boards at very high frequencies. That was the first talk. And the second talk was design of low layer count boards, specifically for the IoT world, but any low layer count board, meaning 1, 2, and 4 layer boards.
Yeah, you know, on LinkedIn, I see a lot of people kind of showing off their IoT boards, and so I think this is very timely.
Oh, it is. The IoT world, there's something like 20 billion IoT parts out now, and there's expected to be like 10 times that many by 2030. I mean, it's an enormous amount of IoT work going on.
Yeah, agreed. So this being a technical conference and there being so many different speakers, who are you excited to see?
Everybody. You for one. Susie Webb. I just watched Gene Weiner do a keynote. He was terrific. I love Gene. I went to the presentation this morning of the two fab guys talking about the 21 mistakes they catch all the time in the fab shops. Things like that always excite me because I'm always looking to learn something new.
You know, 21 mistakes seems like a lot of really common mistakes. Was any of it surprising to you?
Not a bit.
So you've been around long enough to have seen those.
Yeah, I've seen all the mistakes they talked about because, I mean, people just, without meaning to, design problems into boards. And someone just walked up here a minute ago and was talking about fab issues. We're at the PCEA booth, and they walked up a minute ago, and the guy was saying he had a customer who said to them, well, if you can't fabricate it, we'll go elsewhere. And that's what fab shops face. They face people who take that attitude. And I'm sorry, that's unacceptable.
So you would agree with the statement that if you're a designer, you should design your product to be manufactured anywhere?
Absolutely true. Design for manufacturability is key to making something producible.
Well, it's definitely a common theme we've been noticing, especially talking to the other manufacturers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what are some of the takeaways that someone should take away from a show like PCB East?
A good education, the ability to come to the show floor, to talk to vendors, to talk to fab houses, CAD vendors, simulation people, whoever you're here to see. There's so many opportunities at a show like this. It's ridiculous.
That's great to hear. I mean, it seems like you've got this one golden opportunity to ask a fabricator or a design firm or whoever that one question that's been nagging you forever.
That is absolutely true, and that's why shows like this are so valuable.
Well, we'll leave it at that. Thank you so much for talking to us.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.
All right, everybody. We are here with Mike Buetow, president of the PCEA, and it's been a great conference here at PCB East. Mike, what did you think of the turnout today?
I thought the turnout was great. It's been 12 years since we've done an event here in Boston.
12 years.
And, we're back here because we had exhibitors who kept saying, when are you going to come back to Boston? So, I mean, we saw some events today that had, 50, 60 people sitting in the conference rooms. We've had a floor. One of our exhibitors said that he ran out of business cards before lunch. I mean, it's been a good day.
That's great. That's great. And as everyone can see behind us, the conference hall is, still packed, and it's, 5 p.m.?
That's happy hour. You expect there's going to be a few people.
So who were you hoping to see, or did you get a chance to see anybody talking today?
Well, so it's really sort of the other way around. I wanted to be here to see everybody, right? Because PCEA is a new organization. We're still trying to let people know who we are, what we do, explain to them about the acquisition of all the UP Media Group assets, the magazines, the trade shows, the webinars, that sort of thing. And so it was more just an opportunity to get in front of folks, explain why we did what we did, and where we think we're going to go.
Yeah, that's great. And we hope that everybody will go to, is it PCEA.org to sign up?
It's PCEA.net.
Okay, PCEA.net. My mistake. So what do you hope for the designers out there to get out of a conference like this?
Well, so the designers are pretty, especially the last couple of years, they really have been disjointed, right? They've been busy, lots of respins in addition to their normal work. And, most of them have never been inside manufacturing facilities before. Even if they had, it's been a couple of years now. So this is the first chance in years for them to be face-to-face with lots of different fabricators, assemblers. We had people that supply the equipment here. So there's opportunities for them to really sort of understand what's going on from the vendor standpoint. And then also, as you know, there were a couple of talks really looking at emerging technologies. And so guys that haven't had, or designers who haven't had anybody from the outside coming into their facilities for the last couple of years now got a good look at printed electronics or additive manufacturing. They heard a lot about different laminates. They heard about some AI stuff, which is completely new to them. So there's a whole bunch of new technologies that they got exposed to.
That's excellent. Well, I'm definitely excited to come out to these things for precisely that reason. It's a great way to stay current.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I saw you had a full house at your talk. So I hope that folks check out Zach, both in his webinars and online. At PCB West, because he's becoming a big popular speaker.
Well, thank you very much. I try not to highlight myself in these interviews, but that's fine. I'll take it. Mike, thank you so much for talking with us, and it's been a great conference, and I'll be seeing you again at PCB West. And then next year, PCB East 2023. Can we get a commitment for that?
Sure, why not?
All right.